This is for the tape people. We're going to start our meeting. This is the caller training meeting. We have two major pieces of business we'd like to accomplish at this hour-and-a-half session we had this afternoon. The main project we've been working on this past year has been to formulate a proposal to the Board of Governors for the administration and operation of the CALLERLAB grants program. It's been very loose in the past, and it's been a very subjective kind of a thing, and to a degree it still is when you hear the proposal. But we have it fairly well organized, and we know exactly where the loose spots are, and we're going to discuss that once, and hopefully come up with a final copy that we can recommend to the Board of Governors that we adopt. The other area of interest for our meeting this afternoon will be to discuss the project for next year, which is the development of a training manual for caller coaches, a manual that will take the CALLERLAB curriculum item by item and provide guidance and instruction for those who are teaching callers in each curriculum subject, what the subject covers, what needs to be taught, what needs to be covered. We won't tell you how to do it, but we'll tell you what we'll list the subjects that need to be done. We'll describe that in a moment. So we have those two projects for our thing this afternoon. Now, with typical CALLERLAB efficiency, we're already in trouble. I asked John Kaltenthaler on the phone to provide us with a handout here with this proposal for the grants program, and when I saw John, the first time I saw John at the meeting, he gave me this big box with, these are your handouts, Bill. And I opened it, and this is the CALLERLAB curriculum, which was last year's handout. This year's handout, the CALLERLAB Association Grants Program, the only copy that is now in existence is in this loose-leaf book, so I really can't give you a handout. And I ask you to bear with me, please, while I read this to you. And I'd like to read the entire thing first, then I will read it item by item, or we can go over it and see what I'll take your input. If there are those of you who want the CALLERLAB curriculum, that is available up here as a handout, because we have that now. That's a formal, accepted program. We'll pass those along in a little while. So with that as introduction, let me read the proposal that the committee has drafted and developed this past year. And those of you who are on the committee, this is the final draft that we come up with based on the questionnaire and the survey and the poll that we took by the mail. The CALLERLAB Association Grants Program, General Guidelines and Operating Procedures. 1, it is recognized that the basic intent and purpose of the Board of Governors in establishing an association grants program is to make quality caller training available to caller associations who are 1, affiliated with CALLERLAB, and who 2, could not otherwise afford it. 2, any CALLERLAB affiliated callers association is eligible to receive a training grant under this program, providing it is able to establish A, that the intended program could not be held without some form of financial assistance, and B, that it has received no prior CALLERLAB training grant for a period of at least 3 years prior to the date of the proposed clinic or training program. 3, to qualify for a grant, the association is required to submit a written application to the CALLERLAB office at least 4 months prior to the date of the intended training program. A sample application is enclosed. This was part of the handout we don't have. 4, each application shall be reviewed and audited by a special 5-member review board. A training grant under this program shall be awarded if 1, sufficient funds are available based on that year's allocation by the Board of Governors, and 2, if no less than 3 members of the review board approve the application. The review board shall consist of the following 5 individuals. 1, the Vice Chairman of CALLERLAB, who shall, if necessary, also serve as the presiding officer of the board. 2, the Chairman of the Caller Training Committee. 3, the Chairman of the Caller Coach Accreditation Committee. 4, the Chairman of the Caller Association Liaison Committee. And 5, the Chairman of the Rural Area Considerations Committee. This review board shall use the following guidelines to determine an association's eligibility to receive a training grant under this program. A, eligibility. The CALLERLAB office shall determine whether an applying association is an affiliate association in good standing, and it shall also verify that the association has not received a prior grant for 3 preceding years. B, financial need. Since the stated purpose of the grants program is to make quality caller training available to callers associations who could not otherwise afford it, the review board shall consider the association's financial need to be a major criterion when deciding whether a request for a grant should be approved or disapproved. An association may demonstrate such need in a variety of ways, based on the size of its membership, the size of its treasury, the overall cost of the intended training program, and the degree or extent to which the association itself intends to participate in underwriting the program's costs. While it is anticipated that some exceptions are inevitable, an association's request for a training grant will generally be favorably reviewed if, 1, the association has not sponsored a training program for the preceding 12 months, 2, the association's treasury currently has less money over and beyond its demonstrated normal operating expenses than the overall cost of the intended program, and 3, the association proposes to pay at least 50% of the overall cost of the intended program through matching funds or by charging admission. C, the nature of the intended program. Since it is also stated that subsidies granted under this program shall be used to support quality training, the determination of the review board shall also be based on both the subject matter of the intended program and the demonstrated qualifications of the clinician. Here, too, valid exceptions will undoubtedly occur, but as a rule, an association's application will be favorably reviewed if, 1, the subjects of the intended clinic or program appear on CALLERLAB's recommended caller training curriculum, and 2, the credentials or the bona fides of the proposed clinician are either well known or firmly documented. D, the amount of the grant. Each year, CALLERLAB's Board of Governors will allocate a designated amount of money to support the grants program for the ensuing year. The Board of Governors has previously decreed that the amount of an individual grant be limited to not more than $150 per day with a single event maximum of $450. No exceptions to this stipulation will be permitted. E, exceptions to these guidelines. The function of this document is to provide both callers associations and the individual members of the review board with the operating guidelines that will ensure the overall intent and purpose of the training grants program is fulfilled. It should be noted, however, that exceptions to these guidelines will undoubtedly occur, and when they do, it shall be within the discretion of the review board to grant or deny a given application. The association shall, in such cases, be required to demonstrate that the exception is due to special or unusual circumstances. Now, that's a proposal that we intend to submit to the board as the operating guideline for the administration of this grants program. Anybody have any general questions before I go back item by item and see what we can come up with? Anything in general? The basic premise is that we would like the association to demonstrate that, A, it needs some money, and this program could not be held without it. One of the operating guidelines that I've always had in considering this program is that if an association has been having a successful annual caller training weekend, and has been doing that for the last 15, 20 years successfully, and has a fairly large treasury, this program is not intended for them. They're on the stick. They're doing it right now. An argument has been raised, but why penalize them? Why penalize those who are successful? Well, it's not that kind of a program. It shouldn't be looked at as that. It's frankly a welfare program. That's what its intent is. Roger?
Did I miss something? Wasn't there before a limit to the amount?
I've mentioned that. You missed it. Those short naps do wonders.
What was that amount?
Yeah, $150 shall be limited to no more than $150 a day, with a single event maximum of $450.
I meant there was a slide, a final amount. There could only be so many grants. That total amount.
One within, you can't have one if you've already had one within the past 3 years.
But no, that's still not total dollars in the budget. In 1 year's time.
Oh, that's voted upon every year at the Board of Governors meeting. It has been $2,500, and there's no reason to suppose it won't be that. If we come to a point where the budget's going to have to be trimmed, the overall CALLERLAB budget, this I think has low priority. We may cut it out altogether.
Because at one point I think it was like $2,500.
That's what it has been right along. That's what it's been this past year. This past year we have paid out about $2,000, and we have $300 that we've granted to associations who have not yet had their events. So that money is promised, so that this year we've been under budget. We've always been under budget so far. Oh, yes, it is.
We need those questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. We need the questions on the microphone. Would you please?
My question is this information available to all of us to know which associations received the money and what they did with it?
Each association fills out an application, and we grant or deny the request, and then they have to submit a report. as to what happened at the clinic, how it was conducted, were they pleased with it, would they hire the guy again, all that kind of stuff. And if that's satisfactory, we send them the check.
Can we read about that in our guidelines?
I see. That I don't know. That's never come up before, and I really can't give you an answer, and I'll check and find out. I will let you know. Let me ask the group assembled here. We've never addressed that question before. What is the feeling here? Should that information be public or should that be kept private? Those who think it should be public knowledge in guidelines, in directions, raise your hand. Those who think it should be private, would you raise your hands? It's a close 50-50, isn't it? I don't know. Let me think about that for a while. I can't give you an answer, but we'll surely look at that. Any other questions? John, do you have any information at all? The question has arisen about, and I want you this on a microphone, please. Is the information about which association received grants, is that public knowledge? Should it be or should it not be public knowledge?
It is available to anyone who so requests. It is not published in any formal fashion.
He asks. He answers nicely.
Wonderful sound. Betsy Gotta from New Jersey. 2 questions. Did you mention, was it fiscal year or calendar year when you're talking about the financial year?
Convention to convention.
Okay. Number 2, answer is convention to convention, folks. Number 2, if we're talking about publishing these, could we manage, if we wanted to keep the names and specifics of the association private, could we kind of get a statistical inference which could be published without interfering with anybody's rights to privacy?
We do have, at every Board of Governors meeting, a report is made by the chairman of this committee about the finances of the preceding year. We do not give them a list of every association, although that is available too.
Should it be the desire of this group to have your chairman of this group render a report for inclusion in the June direction, that could easily be printed by the office.
I will take that under advisement. And the criteria will be how much work is that for the chair. If the chair has to work any harder, the answer is no. I have to also let you know, John, on the microphone in public, you sent me the wrong handouts.
Everybody in the world is going to hear that on the tape.
Let's proceed. Any other questions? Well, then, rather than read item by item again, we're going to pass these things out. What I'd like to do now, just come back to this if I may. We do have to make a report. Can I get just a straw vote a show of hands right now? Is there anybody uncomfortable with this operating procedure? Anyone have any real serious problems with it? If all we're going to do is pick some more nits here, I welcome that, but let's do that at a later time. Let's go on to the meeting. If this group here feels this is okay, let me then present this to the Board of Governors. And if you want to see me during the break, or if we have time later on, we'll go back to this if we may. Okay. Before I go on to the next one, let me introduce John Jones, who's my co-partner in crime up here. You want to make a statement, John? Is that right? This is a good time to do it? Yeah.
We didn't have a separate meeting set aside for only caller coaches. We combined it with this meeting because the only thing that we have to report is that we are going to have formulated prior to convention time next year, and hopefully much sooner than that, what we're going to call a pre-caller coach examination. This has not been done before, and we discussed it last year, and we have decided and gotten board approval to do this. So what it is going to be will be an examination, but not under examination strain, that anyone desiring to find out if they have sufficient education and knowledge to pass the formal caller coach exam, and it will be administered by the individual themselves in their own home at their own leisure under no strain. We have found that many people do not do things due to two things, and it's called FOP and FOF. And FOP is fear of people, and FOF is fear of failure. And so that keeps many people from doing a lot of things. But this particular exam is going to be designed to help an individual realize whether they have sufficient education enough and knowledge enough to pass the formal caller coach exam. And it can be taken as many times as anybody would desire. There will be no cost. It will be for anyone who wishes to take it. They will simply write into the office and one will be mailed to you. You take it at your leisure. And if you know enough of the answers on there or feel that you can make a real big grade on it, and you think, well, heck, I'm ready to go all the way, and we'll go that route. Because we think we have a lot more people, a lot more callers. We hope we have a lot more callers that would become interested in becoming caller coaches. We have 27 at the present time. We just approved Sunday Deco Deck was our last caller coach. And we want more caller coaches. We want more accredited caller coaches. And like I said, we're not going to dilute the program, but we're going to try to help people find out if they're ready or not. Is there any question or comment from anyone about it? We think it will help a whole lot. We really do. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't have enough of the grants program proposal to pass out. So you might read over someone's shoulder if... well, hold those for a minute, Roger. Don't pass us out yet. Okay, pass them out, Roger. Yeah, okay. That was a former document at the moment has no relevance, and I might use it with some of the guys who are here for the first time who signed up on the non-member category. You'll be sent one of those in the mail, and if you're interested in working on the committee, we'll ask you to fill that out and mail it back to us. And let me at that point make the statement I made last year at our meeting, and those of you who are now on the committee will know that this is what we're talking about. When you sign on for the committee, we really intend for you to work. This is a working committee. We do a lot of mail communications. We have several projects in the hopper, and if you don't have the ability or the time to contribute your ideas and your input, we really think it's not worth your time to sign on. But if you do sign on, I will take that as your confirmation that you're prepared to pitch in and help out. We do need your input, and we welcome it, but we will make use of it, and we want you to feel free to jump on the bandwagon. Okay. We will then make that report to the Board of Governors on the grants program. Unless any of you have any other sidelights, just come and let me know. The next project we're going to be working on for this year is to provide a training outline that can be used by caller coaches, either in an association or individual callers who are hoping to be caller coaches, to allow them to see what needs to be taught in each of the approved curriculum subjects. What is it that needs to be taught when you teach timing? When you say, I'm going to cover timing in my caller school, what is it that needs to be covered? What are the requirements for that? We're not seeking to show someone how to learn how to teach timing. We will assume he knows about timing. But what needs to be done, and what help can we give him in teaching someone else to learn how to handle timing? How to work with caller students. As I've mentioned at other meetings, we have been very fortunate this year in that this document, which was prepared as a syllabus for the Caller Coach School, which is a private venture conducted by a number of well-known caller coaches, has been donated to this committee. It is our intention to use the work of this document as the basis for the project I've just outlined. What that says in effect is a lot of this work that I'm talking about has already been done. This remains, however, at the moment a private document, and what we need to do is to convert it to a CALLERLAB document. and to provide whatever additional input we might. This is not to say this can't be improved, and hopefully, with our membership working on this, we might be able to come up with some improvements. What we have in mind is to form teams, and I've already talked to a number of you about this, 4 or 5 coaches, maybe more given the sign-ups that we have here now, of you to work to take one subject, one curriculum subject, and interact with each other and get ideas from each other using this basic document as the starting point and see what can be done with it. We will take about 8 months during the next 8 months to accomplish that. There's going to be a chairman of each of those subcommittees, and his instructions or her instructions will be to send back to me the work that you've done for those 8 months. And I will then collate and put together the final document. At our next meeting next year, we will then discuss our final document and see if it's something that we want to recommend to CALLERLAB, and if it is, we will talk about what kind of distribution should it have. What I'm going to do now is to read off some arbitrary assignments that I have made. I've talked to a number of you about that. If I mention your name and I haven't talked to you about it, please raise your hand because I want to talk to you about it, okay? All right. The mechanics of choreography, Frank Lane will be the chairman. I will work on that committee, and Ted Vail, Bill Davis, John Kaltenthaler. Methods of choreographic management, Don Beck will be the chair. Jim Mayo will work on that. Jack Lasry, Bob Bunch, and Bill Davis. Music, Stan Burdick will be the chairman. Cook, what cook is that? Name some cooks. Bill Cook, thank you. Deco Deck, is Deco here? You rascal. Gloria Roth and Ernie Kinney. Teaching, John Jones will be the chairman of that. Herb Egender, Jim Hale, Frank Lane, Paul Harris. Programming, Jim Mayo, Bill Peters, Ralph Rowland, Bill Davis, Roger Morris. Smooth Dancing and Flow, Jim Mayo, Don Beck, Gene Arnold, Al Brundage, Warren Berkwin. Voice and Delivery, Jim Mayo, Don Malcolm, Ted Connor, Jim Hale, John Kaltenthaler. Timing, John Jones, Gloria Roth, Ralph Rowland, Mike Woods, Terry Kephart. Leadership, Cook, Egender, Burdick, Malcolm, and Morris. Ethics, Deco Deck, Gloria Roth, Jim Mayo, Bob Bunch. Business Line of Calling, Warren Berkwin is the chairman. Terry Kephart, Don Malcolm, Ralph Rowland, Jack Lasry. Singing Call Techniques, Deco Deck, Bill Peters, John Jones, Ted Connor. Sound and Equipment, Ralph Rowland will be the chairman. Paul Harris, Bob Bunch, Gene Arnold, and Roger Morris. Caller's Partner, Gloria Roth, Terry Kephart, Connor and Woods. History, Heritage, and Tradition, Peters, Egender, Lane, and Jones. Self-Improvement Techniques, Jim Hale will be chairman. Don Malcolm, Al Brundage, Ted Vail. One Night Stands, Bob Bunch, Mike Woods, Gene Arnold, and Stan Burdick. Rounds and Contras, Cook will be the chairman. Roth, Brundage, Egender. Showmanship, Bill Peters, chairman. Deco Deck, Burdick, Ted Connor. Master of Ceremonies, Mike Woods, Terry Kephart, Warren Berkwin, Paul Harris. Promotion and Communications, Bill Peters, Cook, Arnold, and Lasry. Those are the teams I have set up now. Those of you who are here for the first time, who signed up as non-members, what I propose to do in your case, and the reason I wanted your name here, is that we will be sending to you in the mail. If you've got one as a handout here, you can do it right here now if you like. The application form. And the application form is just to let me know what your background in caller training is, and so that we can determine the nature and degree of assignments we shall make to you. And there will be some. And there will be an indication there as to the subjects in which you feel you have the most expertise, or the ones that you think you'd be most interested in working on. We will make you, based on that input, a member of one of these subcommittees. That should happen in the next 8 weeks, given your input. And what's going to happen in those 8 weeks, I need to get from you, you'll get it in the mail, but I need to get from you as soon as possible the completed application. The minute I get that, I will make an assignment and let you know what that assignment is. And you'll work with the chairman of that subcommittee. Anybody have any questions? Is that clear to everybody? Am I making sense? Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Will we have access to all the other assignments?
Not if I can avoid it. If you want it, it's available to you. Just let me know you want it, and I'll give you what you need. But I'd rather not have to go through all that paperwork. It's a drag, and I got enough. Okay, but it's not. I just read it on the microphone. It's on the tape. If you get the tape, it's right there. Okay, there'll be additional assignments, which will not be on the tape, of course, but we'll pass that along to you if you need that. Anybody have any other questions about the program? Okay, that's basically what I hope to do, what I hope to accomplish this next year. Those of you who are here for the first time, if you've done caller training, let me know the kind of training you've done, the nature of the program. Is it a home training program? Is it an apprentice-type program? Is it a 5 or 6 day school somewhere? Whatever it is, let me know that. Give me as much input as you can about the nature of your background. Even if you have none, that's okay. It's okay not to have any. We have an outreach program, and we welcome your input. We want to hear about you. The nature of the assignment will be different based on for those who have less experience than some of the other guys, but we want to hear from you. We want to know what your input is, and the opportunity will be there for all of you to contribute to 1 or 2 or 3 of those subcommittees. Is that clear? Anybody have any questions on that? My, you're a good group. I usually have meetings where people get mad at me, and you guys are just sitting there falling asleep. There you go. All right, I'm on a roll, right? No stress. That's marvelous. Look at my ring. All right. What I'd like to discuss then, unless somebody has a question, is assuming, and hopefully we will have this document ready for the Board of Governors' approval next year. What then shall be its distribution? How shall we make that document available? What is it we're looking for? Anybody have any thoughts on that? We now have the document. What do we do with it? It's not. CALLERLAB has it. It's for the membership. It's for the good of the order. What can we do with it? Anybody have any thoughts? Yeah.
Is that for the good of our members or the good of Squirt?
Presumably that would be both, wouldn't it?
Not if it's restricted to members only.
Repeat your question on it.
Yeah, sorry, Don. Come on and tell it.
Is it for the benefit of our members or the benefit of square dancing?
And my answer was, come here. It can be for either or both.
But you said previously something about for our members. So we should make it. Should we make it available to everyone?
I'm asking you to give that answer. What do you think? I'm asking your input. What should we do with this?
My input is to make it available for anybody that wants it. Maybe on a fee. Maybe you want to charge them, but it should be available for anybody that wants it.
Betsy Gottigan, my first thought was to make it available immediately to all callers associations who have been affiliated with CALLERLAB, so that they can have it in their library or their archives or whatever for their members.
Anyone else have any thoughts on that? Anyone disagree with those viewpoints? The viewpoints we've had is it should be generally available to the general public, hopefully for a fee. Anyone disagree with that? Come up and tell us why, Mike. You just disagree. You don't know why you disagree. You don't want to go do... Mike Degman just declines.
Dorothy Peeler, Benicia. Would this mean that people who are running colleges or classes would profit from something they're getting from our association for nothing? I think people ought to have to pay, that it ought to be something they buy.
Roger?
Maybe something like this could be made available for those who are investigating becoming a caller coach, and a fee then could be attached to that.
You can't prove it by me. Any other thoughts? That is basically the thought that I had for the content of this meeting. You might, between now and next year, those of you who will be working with us on the committee, think about what we need to do in terms of distributing this document, seeing what can be done, what would be the most advantageous thing for the activity, as well as for the organization. Those of you who have not yet seen that document, it really is. We are very proud of it. It's a very, very helpful thing. It takes every single curriculum subject and provides a general outline, first of all, what the subject involves, and then what there is an item-by-item checklist that can be used, by the way, as the basis, as the outline of a formal school presentation on that subject.
When we're talking about what to do with it, I hear people named Don Beck, Massachusetts. I hear people saying we ought to distribute it, let anybody have it who wants it, but some say pay and some say don't. And I think it ought to be a function of what our goal for this is. There are two possible goals as I see it. One is that we are trying to improve the quality of square dancing through the quality of calling, through the quality of teaching callers, and therefore we should make it available to anybody we can so as that will happen improvement. And that says give it away, as we do all the other documents we put a lot of work into, like mainstream definitions. And the other is that in the process we also use it to make money, because we need to make money any way we can to make ends meet. And so this is a method that we could publish a document we've made and sell it, because it's probably not competing with any of our other members other than this school that's already donated this thing, as publishing mainstream and selling mainstream documentations would be competing in it. So I think whether we charge or not and how we disseminate, we ought to first decide what we're doing it for. Are we doing it as a moneymaker or as to improve the quality of dancing?
What would be your thoughts? What do you think we should do with it?
My thought...
What do you think we should do with it, Bill Peters, California?
For the purpose of the tape, I don't think you heard the comma in there. Bill was not the one asking he asked... John Jones, Texas. I feel we ought to make it available at no cost, as we have all our other documents.
In this particular case, this is a little different document. Did you show this?
I showed it just like you are. They haven't seen it.
A little bit different document than what we've had in the past, Don. I agree with you. This is John Jones from Texas, and this is the real John Jones from Texas. And in that this is a very specialized document. Not that we don't want anybody to have it that might want it. My opinion is that right now our organization is operating with a $9,000 deficit. And this document, to do any good with it, you've got to mass produce it. And the cost would not be that tremendous, but each one of these items that we keep adding in is causing us one of these days to raise the dues again. And they just went up. And so I think we ought to hold it down. I don't know, a document of this nature, if it costs $20, it's cheap in that regard. For those of us who are going to go into caller training who need this information, I don't disagree with your philosophy, Don. It's just that we've got enough deficit in our organization right now without adding more to it.
Don's going to respond.
That being the case, and I can't see not accepting money for something that people are willing to give it to us for if they're willing to do so. If we accomplish both purposes, one is doing something beneficial by producing this and having it available. Two is helping supplement revenue because people who need it and are aware that it exists and are aware they need it would be willing to give us revenue to compensate for this in return, and even just producing it, covering costs would be a lot. I think we ought to add an additional program called advertising to make people aware of just how good a document it is and how valuable it would be to them by giving one chapter away or some such thing. But yeah, that in that case, they ought to know that it's much more than the outline of the curriculum we've given them, but it's not something that preaches that this is the way thou shalt do it, but that it's going to help you as a guideline in a lot of ways.
Just half a second here. It might be helpful to us in this conversation to see what else is in this document, and I haven't announced this yet because the assignment for this one is one that I'm taking myself. This is going to be my part of the project. In addition to the various curriculum subjects and the training outline per subject, it also covers in some detail the qualifications of an effective caller coach, and it deals with his own calling experience and seasoning, his calling success and credibility as a successful caller, his professional knowledge and technical expertise, his teaching and communication skills, his leadership skills, his inspirational and motivational skills. All of those go into the mix of what a good coach needs to be. It talks about caller school programming, and it differentiates programming between a full curriculum school, which is a 5 or 6 day resident school, or a local school, once every other Sunday, that sort of thing. And it deals with programming a 1 or 2 day caller training seminar or clinic. So it has programming information in it. And that's all. It also has a very neat bibliography at the end, which takes it subject by subject and provides a list of the literature that is available in the field today for additional reading and study in each of the curriculum subjects. So it's a very comprehensive and the only one of its kind ever produced so far training guideline. And I personally would be very, very surprised if we were able to give this thing away. It'd be nice to give it away, but it is certainly worth a lot of money. It truly is, for an association particularly.
Thanks, Bill. Carl Brandt from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I feel anytime you give something away, it's not worth anything. Callers belonging to our association could possibly pay $5, and if you're not a member of our association, let's pay $25. Recently at the Indiana Callers Association meeting in Indianapolis, we had a little controversy over there because we're still trying to promote CALLERLAB in our association and ask them individually here and there, how about joining CALLERLAB? Well, we get the guidelines and everything through the state organization. Why should we belong? And some of the guys are paying the dues to say, hey, why should these guys ride on our coattails? So why should we give it away if it's worth anything? And we're a little bit behind in our treasury. Let's make them pay. I'm willing to pay, but I'm a member of the association, so I get a break. I pay $5. You don't belong. You pay $25. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? What I will do sometime between now and next year is to, we've heard a number of ideas from some of the folks, listen to the tape and see if I can't summarize the various options that have been suggested and provide a survey and have you check off the one that you might favor when you get it in the mail. And all the committee people will be given that survey, and we'll report back on the results and then operate from there. Anybody have any other comments about that? Okay. I would like to see, if you want to hang around, please do, but I would like to address the next session, the next part of this meeting, to those whose name I call as being already on a committee assignment, on a subcommittee. I'd like to talk to you guys in particular. Can I see a show of hands who you are so I know who you are if you're in here? Could I get you to sit down in front here so I've got you in one group? If you want to hang around and listen, you're perfectly welcome to do that, the rest of you. Just come right down front here where you are so I can just keep you together. You don't have to leave, you don't.
Bill, could this be a springboard for a complete manual?
Membership of this committee. My name is...
Could this be the foundation for what CALLERLAB could put out? A complete teaching manual with specifics on every subject. Because that's what we really...
It might even be that. It might even be that.
Oh, yes. But he said he...
We're already on it.
Let's say what... Our interests.
Didn't you send one back? I'll send you another one. I'll send you another one.
No, I have it at home. If that's okay, I'll
send it to me. Send it in to me. Okay.
Bill, shouldn't my name get on one of these? I don't think you called my name. Shouldn't I be on one of these? Didn't I? Well, you sent it to...
I sent it to you.
Yeah, they'll send you a form. Why don't you put me on either? What? Okay. Where's this? I think I've already filled one of these out. If somebody else wants one,
Does someone want a copy of the training of the grants program? Okay.
Where are these available?
They're not available.
Not available.
No. We're going to make it. That's our project. Thank you, sir.
So you have the application for joining the
No. Do you have any other questions? Okay. What I'd like to do with the group that's assembled here, if I may, if I read your name off, I'm going to give you, for the rest of this meeting, and I have to have it back today, right now, the outline that we have. Let me just discuss it with you just a little bit if I can. I think what I'll do is ask... is Ted Vale here? No, okay. We won't use that. Don Beck? Attaboy, come up here and just take that for now. And I want it right back when we're through. Stan Burdick? No. Deco Deck? Roth? No. Okay, none of those. John Jones? Mayo Peters? Ralph Rowland? You here? You might share that with Roger. Sit by Roger there if you would. Don Beck, Warren, why don't you take this one? Okay. Jim Hale? John, here's one on timing. Patience. Here you go, Don. Warren, here's another one for you. Bill Peters, you here? Yes. Good. Ralph Rowland. Okay. Ross Kephart, Connor Woods, not here. Betsy, you interested in working on this? You want to chair the caller's partner? Sit down front here.
May I interject something there? I think that's great. Jim Hale has already volunteered to do that with the caller's partner people. A little different thing. Bill, it hasn't been done yet. The caller's partners, I'm not trying to take any, don't get me wrong, this just crossed my mind. The caller's partner people asked Jim if he would work with them to help formulate things for us caller teachers to teach callers about partners. And so Jim's already volunteered to help the caller's partners.
Betsy, you don't mind if I take that away from you? Thank you.
This won't either.
You have an additional assignment. Thank you.
Since he's already on it.
I got this one.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that.
This one, but I'm not chairman of this one either.
Well, you don't have to be chairman. You're the one here that's on that, right?
Don't turn it out now, Bill Peters.
Here's another one for you. This one you're chairman of. You're chairman of two now. Okay. Warren, here's one more for you. No, I'll give this one to Paul Harris. Paul, why don't you take this one? Okay. Where I'm having difficulty deciding who to give it to is two guys who are on the same committee. Thank you. Thank you. Does someone want an application? Someone asked me about an application before. Here you go, Mike. Okay, that's enough. We have enough of those. The primary purpose of passing these out is to give you an idea of what you're going. I want these back. You'll get a cleaned up copy of that in the mail, and that will be the basis on which to operate. The thing we're looking to do with this is, as you can see, we have a primary statement, a premise that outlines roughly what the subject covers or should cover in a viable caller training program. Your assignment, Mr. Phelps, if you agree to take it, is to look that over to see if there's anything we can add to it. Does it say anything that we don't want to say? In other words, make whatever suggestions, corrections, and ideas that you think are relevant and important to that particular subject matter in terms of its making a statement as to its overall content. What follows after that is a checklist, sort of what needs to be done in a presentation. What really should be ticked off if you're talking, giving a presentation in your caller school about that particular subject. Its primary use, its intention, always has been, and it works very, very well for a number of coaches that I know, and I use it myself. You put it up in front of you, and it serves as the outline of your presentation. Notice we're not going to tell you how to teach timing. We assume that you will know. For example, if you're dealing with, let's have a good subject here. Showmanship has developing style and showmanship. A, the evaluation of one's potential. We assume that the coach will know how to describe to a caller student how to evaluate his own potential. We will assume that he knows how to do that. But this is a reminder that you got to do that, right? So that all the important items, the subtopics, if you will, that will cover that particular subject shall be covered in that way. Okay? And your job here is to look those over and see if we forgot anything. If there's anything you'd like to add. If there's anything that you feel is irrelevant, let us know that. You get the idea? That's the basic picture. So if you have any questions on what you see there, now's the time to ask them when you have me face to face. Otherwise, we'll have to do it by mail. Stan, I've got some stuff here for you. Yeah. Yeah, you get 4 demerits. I've just been... No, well, I can't give you that. It's going to be in the mail. Let's see.
This is mine. Okay.
Yeah. I'll need that back right now. That'll come to you in the mail. I just wanted to let you look. I sit up over here with the rest of the troops.
Maybe we don't want him over here. We didn't ask him over here.
My decision.
Okay, come on over, Stan.
Yes, sir.
Anything under communications
Promotion and communications is one subject. Who's taken that? Yeah, we have that. That's I'm chairman of that. Cook, Arnold, and Jack Lassery. Do you want to work on it? Are you interested in that particularly? Yes, we have it. It's one of the curriculum subjects. There are 21 curriculum subjects on the improved curriculum, and every one of those has been covered here.
Those divided promotion and communication?
No, promotion/communications.
Which is 2 subjects in one?
Yeah. 2 subjects, but really very closely allied.
Those that are already on a committee, can we put in for another committee if we wish?
Sure.
Using this application?
No, just see me. That committee assignment, just come talk to me. You're already on the committee, Roger.
Pardon?
You're already on the committee. I got your application.
Oh, yeah, but there's another one I'm interested in.
Just let me know what it is.
Teaching.
You're on teaching.
Oh.
You're not on teaching. Teaching. No, you're not. I'll put you on teaching. Yes, I'm sorry. That was a clerical oversight, Roger. I knew you were on teaching. You're on. Yeah.
One of the subjects that is not listed in things, maybe what about the teaching handicapped dancers or the blind or the wheelchair people and that involved?
Mike, what I'd ask you to do, it's not on the formal curriculum at the moment. I would ask you to do this. If you feel strongly that it should be on the curriculum, write up a proposal for an addition to the curriculum. And hang on, let me finish I have a whole thing here that interacts with a whole bunch of other things. Let me know, write a proposal for this committee to consider. What we have to do is to recommend, this is an approved document, the curriculum now is an approved Board of Governors document, and we'd have to get Board of Governors approval to add something to it, make any change to it. Write up a case for it, and then tell us what the correction should be, and tell us why. In addition to that, you'll have to find some place to put it in the time frame. Right now, our curriculum has recommended time suggestions. So much time for this, so much time for that. Where does that fit in? You have to give us a whole package. You can't just leave it out in left field. We haven't touched it before because of this reason. It is also interesting to note that I just recently, you asked about this before, have had the occasion to work with Bob Osgood on the caller text that he's publishing. And the Session Order caller text is basically a book, an anthology, a compendium, a collection of all the articles on caller training that have ever appeared in the magazine over the last 35, 40 years. And it was a big job to go read through 40 years of Session Order and cull out all the material that we can use and then decide how to use it. First thing we had to do was to break it down by subject. Again, by curriculum subjects. All the CALLERLAB curriculum subjects are covered, and over that period of time, they've been covered very, very well, very extensively. So we've done all that. It's very close to being finished. I mention it here in that one of the subjects that we had as a separate sidelight kind of thing was handicap, working with special groups of any kind, senior citizens, teenagers, kids, preteens, handicapped, blind. We found in dealing with that subject, that was such a big subject, we can find so many special groups that you might have to, if nothing's been written on it before, what do we have as guidelines for it? And the decision at such an order finally was, well, it's such a difficult subject to embrace, except in the overall, in the large, that other than giving a few little guidelines in general, in passing, we decided to leave it out altogether. Also for space considerations. But that's basically what happened there. That's not to say that it doesn't belong in our curriculum and then in our final document. But the curriculum, it has to be added to the curriculum first. And if you feel that's a valid thing and a vital and important thing for us to do, submit a proposal. One of the things that occurs to me is, it is a fairly limited field. I don't know how many people are really interested, and should we be expending our adrenaline on that now? That I don't know. As chairman, I would look at that very carefully. I would take your input, and I would be guided by your feelings. Warren?
I can comment on that. I've been in the field for 13 years.
So is mine. Go ahead. Come up here.
My name is Warren Burkwell from Minnesota. I've been working with a handicap for 13 years, and what Bill just said, we have tried to cover in a handbook that we get inquiries from all over the United States. We work for the mentally handicapped, those who are in wheelchairs who can motivate the chairs themselves, those who are in chairs that need to be pushed through the programs. And this is going out in another area, and then we work with the blind also. And we do have some programs that will be going out for the nursing homes. So that is a book really in itself, other than here. But you use the same guidelines.
What did you say?
I'm
sorry, I got sidetracked.
The book you talked about, is that already been published?
No, we have a book that we do pass out. Anybody that wants it, we give it out. It's a guideline book for working with these different areas.
Okay, so the information is there, and Mike has written a very good article just recently on working with handicapped people, as I recall, in such an order. And it's a very good article. I really am not too sure at this point where that belongs in the overall scheme of our operations right now. That may be, I've kind of been keeping that on the back burner. If we ever run out of projects, that's certainly one, it'll be with a high priority. But at the moment, I think it's kind of limited. We have other things I'd like to do first. For example, someone just mentioned to me here, one of the things we'd like to do, this book, the CALLERLAB version of this, when it's finished, could serve as the basis now for a full-blown caller training outline that would take someone who is not a caller coach and decides, this one presumes you are a coach. See, to take one who is not a caller coach, but would like to learn how to coach, a textbook for coaches, if you will.
That's why the limitation of why it should not go out all members.
Well, so that's what we're talking about there. Yeah.
Can you define the extent to which we're going to project this thing and what it is now? What are we talking about where are we stopping with what we've got here as full-blown textbook? Please, I keep forgetting that.
I think we need to determine how far we're going to carry this program from what we're using now, the donated manual, as a guideline. How far we're going to carry this thing and extend it and evolving it at this time in this presentation.
Well, that was what I had in mind in keeping us guys together here, is to an initial statement of what should be covered, and then an item-by-item checklist of what needs to be covered in the presentation. That's basically what we have now. I personally don't see it being much more than that. The one thing I would add, in any of the subjects, it's going to be difficult for some and easier in others, would be training drills. What can a coach do in a caller school in terms of drills or student exercises, right? For any of those subjects. Now, leadership, for example, can be very difficult. How do you develop one? But for example, one of the ones that I've seen Cal Golden use is very impressive. It takes an hour or a half hour of the school time, and he divides this is the student body. He says, you three guys are a team, you three guys are a team, you three guys, and puts you all in separate corners of the room. And he says, this is the project. You're on a lunar expedition. You went off on your LEM off to experiment this look for that crater over there, and you're several hundred miles away from the mothership. And your LEM don't work and your radio don't work. What do you do? How do you handle that particular problem? And I want you to talk about that, think about that. That's the assignment. And he gives them 20 minutes, and that's all the guidance he gives them. Well, they come back with a report, and some interesting things emerge. One, in any group of three, someone will emerge as a leader. In any several groups like that, the problem will be handled differently. One group will decide to do it this way, one group will decide to do it that way. Well, it provides some kind of insight, doesn't it, to the caller as how to exercise, what's involved in the leadership exercise. Interesting kind of thing. Well, those are drills. Those are student exercises, and the book that we have now does not include any of those. If you can add some of those, by all means. Let's have those, if you have any that you've been using.
Is that getting involved in how to? And now you can get it.
No, that's just providing helpful information about drills.
This was back to my current, if we expand this into student drills and into this type of situation, aren't we broaching on preparing a textbook then?
And the answer is no. If you want a textbook, then we're going to have to really sit down and do an awful lot of work. We're not going to do it in this 1 year, I'll tell you that. That's not going to happen. Do you see any real problem in adding a few drills or student exercises to the document we have now? Anybody see any real problems with that?
Are you saying that you use them as, for example?
Suggestions, yeah. In the choreography area, for example, many things will occur, But in some of the ones, there aren't that many. That's a sharing kind of an operation. But to teach someone how to teach timing, for example, to have a textbook that will say, this is what needs to be done when you teach timing, and this is the approach you have to have. You have to understand that certain students will do it this way, certain students do it another way. That's a big project. I shudder at the thought of that, and I hope I've been succeeded in this chair when that project comes around, because I don't want to tackle it.
Some of these subjects, as you say, you can write a whole textbook about this little part. The fact is that textbooks have been written about some of these parts, and I noticed in the section you gave me, there are two different parts of it. I know there are textbooks about both those parts. One of them you make reference to the textbook. The other part you don't make reference to the textbook. I guess there's 4 parts, and 3 I know of textbooks too. Do you think it would be a valuable thing in here to include in each section a bibliography or sources of, this is what we're doing, but here's a text to go further study it if you, in fact, happen to need that kind of thing? That would be useful information to put in there.
Yes, sir, I agree. That would be useful information, and if you want to add bibliography, that would not hurt. That's additional training guidelines and sources, right? So, sure, if you have any information about that. We already have some. As I said, that's the project I've assigned for myself. But if you have some that you undoubtedly will come up with some that are not in the current list, right? Don?
Is that not available to get in the hand?
No, sir. No.
Does it be made available to the committee?
No. What's available to you is what you have there now, and even that isn't available now. I need that back to reproduce it. See, that's a computer. That's been edited already from this. This first one was prepared before we even had the CALLERLAB curriculum. And we've revised some of the curriculum subjects to conform to the new curriculum, right? So this is the only copy of this kind around right now.
It's not on the market.
No, sir. No, sir.
Well, we got a formula.
That's exactly what we're doing. That's exactly what we're doing.
Well, I happen to have a copy of your book because I was privileged to attend the school when you first published it.
That was the only way it was available, by the way, to come to that school. This is a caller coach syllabus. That's what that was developed for. Yeah. Exactly right. You have that.
Well, I think you should make available to each committee the page number that concerns.
That's exactly what I will do. That's exactly what the project's going to be. You'll get those things back in the mail once they're cleaned up. Paul?
In addition, how about the bibliography?
Paul Harris, California. In addition to the sheets for each various different committee members, how about the bibliography you already have in the back?
I'll make that available. I'll make the bibliography available in the first mail out to you, to all the chair people. But to everybody, I guess. That's no big deal. We can do that. Sure. Anything else? Okay, you have a question?
Ralph Rosen, Tacoma. I was wondering, Bill, now, if we make these out and make some of these going to be quite lengthy probably, put down all the thoughts we have in each one, can we depend possibly on somebody editing this down to where it's going to be not a book?
I shall do that, but I don't want to inhibit you about size or length. Give me your full input and the input of your subcommittee people, and let me worry about that. If I find that there's redundancy or repetition, we'll edit those things out. I will not cut out anything that is important or valuable, and if I do, you'll have an opportunity to tell me I shouldn't do it, and we'll argue about it, and you'll lose.
Is this guideline that we're preparing supposed to be aimed primarily at a 40-hour caller school, or should it be a outline that could be extended into longer schools, or parts of it even used in shorter schools?
The focus of this document right now should be in the way caller training is conducted most often in the activity today, which is in 3 or 4 basic ways. It should be usable, for example, by someone who is serving on the staff of a 40-hour school. It should be usable by someone who's covering a particular subject or subjects in a 2 or 3 day seminar. It should be usable by someone who's covering a subject in just a 3-hour or 2-hour or 1-hour session at a callers meeting, right, on a given subject. The coach should be able to look at this and decide, well, I only have 1 hour, so these are the important things. We shouldn't necessarily have to tell them that, or it might not be a bad idea. Well, this doesn't do that now. If you feel that that's something valuable, say for a 1-hour presentation, these are the highlights. If you have more time, expand to this. If you have more time, expand to that. Nothing wrong with that. That's a good way to go. We haven't done that here, and that might be a good thing for us to do. But the focus should be so that it can be used by someone who is active in the coaching activity as it is most usually done today. Okay? The other aspect is we have a function of training that we have done very little on, and I've always seen this as the next project down the road, and that is to develop some standardization for apprentice-type training. There's an awful lot of training goes on in the country today that is not done in a formal classroom environment. And it's very, very effective training, probably more effective than the classroom type training, and that's where someone takes a student caller under his wing, and we have a journeyman apprentice type relationship. And we have no standards for that at all. I've been beginning to collect some of that. Whenever I hear about a cadet program or a student program or a apprentice program, I get whatever's in writing on it, and I've been amassing a file. Amassing is the wrong word. I've got about 4 or 5 so far in 3 years, which is not very much because it hasn't been done. But I think it needs to be done. It's pioneering work, and it would be a very valuable project for us. But its priority was the next thing on the road. That's coming out. Let's get this one out of the way first. But think about that when you're doing this as well. If you have some way in which the curriculum subject can be taught in an apprentice environment rather than a classroom type environment, that would be valuable too. Warren? You were not. Yes. Stan, I need you on the microphone, please.
Okay. This is only a question, so I don't know if
that's exactly.
Okay, since I came late, this may have been answered. The first name on here is your proposed chairman of that particular bracket. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. You have me on leadership, and Don has that paper, but I'm not the first name. I'm the first name here on music. Is that what you're proposing?
Yeah, you'll get leadership too.
So I'll be on 2 of the committees.
As chair.
And can you, is this
No, I'll get that back. It's not locked in. That'll come in the mail. This is just rough Peter's assignments for the time being, working appointed departure.
What time will we get those letters? Do you have a
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Do you have any other questions? As soon as possible. I do have to tell you all, guys, that I would normally tell you within the month, before the month is over. That's normally the time I would use for this. This month, it happens I am moving to Lake Tahoe, and I have a whole bunch of other fish to fry, and it's going to be a little bit later than that. But it'll come to you in plenty of time, as soon as I can possibly get to it. It's the first priority of my business when I get settled in, however long that takes.
Yes, and you're all excited about Keller.
Anything else? Okay, for the rest of the convention, if you feel the need to, if a question occurs to you later on, or if you want to see me privately, please feel free to do so. Let me have those papers back for now, and I will get you a cleaned up copy in the mail with instructions and further guidelines.
I think that before you as a committee leave this room, and this is just a personal observation of mine, and Steve, you don't have to put this on the tape. I'll say this to you. You can cut the tape off before this if you wish. But there's not anybody in our organization that works any harder than Bill Peters does to get things done. And this is just another example of his hard work that he does for us.
Thank you, John.
Don't flash broke
It's like I saw a L'Oreal commercial the other day, and the lady says that I'm worth it. I said, me too. Right? Thank you, guys, and I expect great things from you. Thanks.